Ai makauka. So, aloha mai kako e na hoa kia aina o ka hui malama aina o DHHL. My name is Ainaaloha o Ka'alulu Ioane, and I come to you today from Moku'okeawe as a representative of the King's Landing village on Keaukaha, Track 2. I'm here today to provide primary evidence. On the October 19, 2020 meeting, the commissioners were provided with a packet for information only. In that packet, you were provided the right of entry 76, which was issued in 1986. You were provided with the right of entry 294, which was issued in 2001. You were also provided with the Kanaka Code, which establishes the building guidelines for subsistence lifestyle living. You are also provided with our code of ethics, which is the expectations and behaviorisms within the King's Landing village. I come to you today to provide a primary evidence or resource of my experiences within King's Landing to offer supplemental information for your packet that was given to you last year. I was born in my hale at Waika'alulu in King's Landing, and I was raised by the Kauhale village of Maha. I am a product of our success, and I am evidence of our existence. King's Landing is a land. It is an ocean, and our ocean is named by our kupuna as Kai Ai Kanaka, which literally translates as man-eating ocean. The reason I like to explain what our environment is like is because I like to talk about the lifestyle in which the occupants or the beneficiaries who occupy King's Landing and that life that we live. The kai there, you have to be very attentive and alert. It is not like the other oceans in the nearby county facility. When you take your ohana to the ocean of Kai'ai Kanaka, you have to be attentive the entire time. The coastline is cliff coastline, and it's the power of the ocean is very extreme. My father told me growing up that you have to be aware because the kai will hit you twice. They will hit you on the way up and they will hit you on the way down. The terrain of King's Landing. The beneficiaries that occupy the land of King's Landing, even though they're giving a larger area, not all of it is usable in the occupancy. I would say about 15% of the land is usable. The rest of the land is ravine or swamp. In the management plan, kalamai, in addition to my written testimony, I sent out, and you may have received it this morning, the Subsistence, Homestead, and Community Management Plan for Department of Hawaiian Homelands, Keaukaha Track 2, Malama Ka'aina Hana Ka'aina Community Association, which is the management plan that was funded by a grant through DHHL and compiled by Palapala Inc. in 1986. And so that is some of the things that I'm referring to. Kalai. In that management plan, there is a section about agriculture and how future lessees may approach subsistence lifestyle within King's Landing. And one of the recommendations, because of the King's Landing's land, the Aina is just like Keaukaha, it's all rocks. There's not a lot of dirt. So there is a process in which to allow the lessee to be able to use the land for agriculture, which requires them, while they're cleaning their land, to eventually put up their hale. The recommendation is that they take all of that wood that was used and then create their own multi-system, so that then you would create your own dirt, because there is no dirt in King's Landing, only in little kipukas. King's Landing is a village. Within that packet that I gave you is given the Kanaka Code, and in the Kanaka Code, it documents the 4-year process in which a lessee would follow in order to build their hale. Within that document talks about the outhouse, which has to be built 10 feet apart from the hale to follow Department of Health rules. The village of King's Landing is also the Kanaka Code, and the Kanaka Code tells us how we can behave nicely as a community and how we can get along in order to ensure prosperity within the community. King's Landing is also the democratically elected Hawaiian homestead self-governing organization that is MAHA. And MAHA is the bona fide representative of Hawaiian homes beneficiaries who are awaiting leases since 1986. I'm sure we can hear the my background music. Mahalo. The Hawaiian homes beneficiaries who are awaiting leases that occupy the lands of King's Landing, we are comprised of 8 ohanas who are recognized in the original right of entry, who occupied the land since the 80s. We have 2 ohanas who have been occupying the land through the right of entry that moved in to occupy the land in the 90s. And we also have 4 ohanas who began occupying the land through right of entry in the 2000s. Kalamai. In our September meeting, community meeting, the beneficiaries who occupy the land in King's Landing, who are awaiting leases, showed strong interest in designating King's Landing as a kuleana subsistence homestead designation. During this discussion, the village members remembered Blossom coming over from Kahikinui and visiting King's Landing in order to see what a subsistence lifestyle could look like. And they came over to see how it was already being in use. The model that Kahikinui Kuleana Subsistence Homestead now, rules that are now created, was based on what they observed when they came over to visit King's Landing. It was a comfortable conversation. It was filled with hope. It was filled with concerns, and definitely a sense of insecurity of the land designation process. While I watched through this, other beneficiaries share their mana'o, I hear that other areas are going through the same process of kuleana homesteading, and I can hear that it is a long process. The beneficiaries who are awaiting homestead leases that are occupying King's Landing collectively want to continue their working relationship with the department. And that we asked Director Ayla to assign the planning department to begin this process with the beneficiaries who currently occupy King's Landing, and through the consultation of the entire process in designating King's Landing a kuleana subsistence homestead. It's very exciting to see and be a part of this historical movement within our lifetime. And it's historical for us because I was born in King's Landing, and it is now 37 years later. And as I step into a stronger leadership role within my community, I've able to collect the stories and the attempts that have been made throughout my lifetime. And I am encouraged to see it through within my lifetime, to see some kind of designation for King's Landing and the beneficiaries who are awaiting leases that have been occupying these lands since before my birth in 1984. It's exciting to be a part of this movement, and we are working together to move forward in this. And in closing, I began this testimony with evidence of my life experiences in the village of King's Landing. And I need to end it with acknowledging our Ohana and Hawaiian homestead beneficiaries who went to the stars to be with our kupuna before being able to see this through. We have 14 King's Landing members who have gone to the stars and who are beneficiaries who died on the waiting list, awaiting to see this historical movement. And I'd like to end with acknowledging them by reading their names. Each one of these members occupied lands within King's Landing. Each one of these members were Maha members in good standing. They participated in their community, and they worked towards long-term leases for our village members. John Kane, Rose Luhi Kane, Uncle Albert Sunny Kahuena, Morris Komo'o, Uncle James Iopa, Uncle Bill Pakani, Auntie Audrey Pakani, who recently passed, Joseph Ange, Jacob Ange, Rodney Costa and his brother, Ipo Benedicto, James Kimo Pelekane, and most recently, Uncle Joe Pacheco. Lastly, before we end, I would like to extend an invitation to the commissioners to join Maha Malamakaina Hanakaina and the Kili'i William Ioane Legacy Foundation in bringing and celebrating Lono Ikamakahiki into our Keaukaha community. I will be sending out a formal invitation to all commissioners to participate. We have been celebrating Lono Ikamakahiki as Maha, as a King's Landing community, for over 37 years. And now that I am stepping into a leadership role within my family, we are extending Makahiki into a Makahiki week within Keaukaha. Traditionally, Makahiki opens up with the schools of the Keaukaha community, joining in the Lono ceremonies and the Makahiki games. This year, we will be expanding that to a Thursday event on Veterans Day. This Thursday event welcomes the Waiakea businesses in the Waiakea Ahupua'a, as well as businesses that hold general leases on Hawaiian homestead lands. And the invitation will also go out to other Hawaiian homestead associations to join in a Lono Ikamakahiki ceremony to begin the Hawaiian year and to strengthen our bonds as a community. Aloha. Okay, hold on, my son. Mommy's almost off. So please, I will be sending out that invitation shortly. If the commission is interested in joining, then I will be training you on a Makahiki chant as well as a Makahiki dance. The chant was composed by Auntie Nalani Kanakaole, who is a Keaukaha homestead leasee. And it will a training will be done on a Lono Ikamakahiki dance, which was composed by myself and is my first composition as a Olapa dancer in Halau of Kekuhi. This is a great opportunity. Yes.
Kalamai, can you wrap up?
Yes, this is a great opportunity for us as a Hawaiian homestead community to strengthen our working and personal relationship as we all work forward collectively in creating a stronger lahui. Mahalo.
Okay. Thank you so much. Commissioners, any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Go, Patty.
Thank you. I'm not sure where this question goes. So am I to understand that King's Landing is under a Hawaiian Homestead Association now?
King's Landing is complicated. They have a group. It's not a homestead association, but a group. And I would prefer to answer that question in more detail when we have time.
Okay, thank you. Because I had other questions that she mentioned. In 1986, there was an ROE, and then come back again in 20,000. Is there an ROE? So my questions would be mainly to the department if an ROE was out to the nonprofit organization. And I think these questions can be discussed in another time or executive session.
Yes.
I understand the outstanding concerns of the King's Landing issue. So I'll leave it into that, Mr. Chair, and not bring it out in the open. Thank you very much.
We'll bring it up in executive session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. If not, our next